My first assignment is to do the mayoral thing and officially call the meeting to order. The Student Citizen of the Month event is about to begin, and thank you for coming. I'm Mayor John Lewis. Members of the Gilbert Town Council are also here. Councilmember Jared Taylor, Councilmember Victor Peterson, Councilmember Bridget Peterson, Councilmember Jen Daniels, and that's who's in the room right now. The other council members will be here shortly. The Student Citizen of the Month is one of our finest events in all of Gilbert, and it's held once a month. And those who are going to be recognized tonight, there are various reasons. Some of it has to do with what you see over here, the pillars of character promoted in our community. And your teachers, your school administrators have seen you do something very special. And we're not really taking all the individual time to find out and tell everything about it, but when you come up here, we are grateful for all of your efforts. To begin with, I have a couple of announcements. Kurt, let's go to the first one. So we're going to do our welcome. Did everybody feel welcomed? Okay, very good. Announcements, and then we've got a presentation. Oh, we've got a special guest here, but I'll introduce him in just a minute. And then we'll get to the Student Citizen of the Month. So the announcements. This Saturday at Freestone Park is the annual Kapow Superhero Run. Council members, show off your stockings. You know, look at that. Let's give him a big, and Councilmember Daniels, get up here so we can see that. These are 4 superheroes, and the other 1,000 superheroes in our community will be there Saturday. Come and cheer them on. And the next one, downtown concerts continue at the Water Tower. The next one will be April 2nd at 6:30 p.m. You're all invited. Saturday, the second Saturday in April, the annual Global Village Festival, another one of the great events in Gilbert. All invited, great family event from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. right outside on the grass area here at the Town Council area. Please come and bring friends and anybody from around the world. You'll have a great time. High School Rocks event is also going to be held that afternoon at Bergie's Coffee in downtown Gilbert. This has everything to do with the mayor of Gilbert won a bet with the town manager. I was betting on the San Francisco Giants to win the World Series. He was betting on the St. Louis Cardinals. All the Giant fans make a loud yell. Okay, very good. Oh. We need to do, we all love the Diamondbacks, right? Okay, very good. All right. And I'm not going to ask all the St. Louis Cardinal fans for fear of what could happen with that. But, and Joe, don't you be telling Patrick Banger what just happened. Okay, thank you. We also have, John, come on down here. This is going to happen at 7 p.m. when the formal town council meeting comes, where I'll call them the world champion WNBA team, the Phoenix Mercury, we get to have in Gilbert tonight the trophy. And so at 7 o'clock we're going to have a formal presentation, but the assignment is that in the next 30 minutes, as the Student Citizens of the Month are here, and as they leave, they get to come up and get a first-hand look at it. Anything else at this point we need to say?
Just thank you for having us out today. We appreciate the support of the Mercury and the Phoenix community, including communities like Gilbert. Thank you very much for having us out, and we look forward to possibly seeing you out at a game this summer as we try and win another one of these for the entire community.
Let's hear it for the Phoenix Mercury. Now, an important question I'll take care of right now. You know, sometimes you go to some place and they say don't touch. Is this a don't touch?
This is a don't touch.
Don't touch, but we can look at it.
Plenty of photos.
Okay, all right. Okay, very good. All right, thank you. Thanks, John. And so when the group starts to leave, we'll just have you step out and make sure they can get a first-hand look. In the hallway, yeah. All right, thank you. And then the next assignment, Kurt, is, okay, it's time. Oh, well, formally at 7. Picture then, yeah. Councilmember Taylor is going to tell you a little bit about this, but our special guest has arrived, and he will introduce him. And a copy of the second inaugural address by President Lincoln will be available to 100 of you, and especially the Student Citizens of the Month. And President Lincoln will be outside the doors where you can meet him in a few minutes. But Councilmember Taylor, what's this all about?
Mayor, thank you. March 4th, 1865, as you see the date, was the second inaugural address from President Abraham Lincoln. And so this month is the sesquicentennial, the 150th anniversary of that. Many of you that love American history know that that's arguably the greatest political speech and speech in American history, for that matter, political or non-political. How many of you have actually been to the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C.? Look at that, Mayor. We've got a lot of people here that have been there. Well, when you go, those of you that haven't, make sure you stop by the Lincoln Memorial. There's 2 speeches that are engraved in that memorial. One is the Gettysburg Address, of course, and the second is the second inaugural address. And so we've invited President Lincoln to come up and share just a snippet of this. And I'd encourage you to do a little bit of homework on it. It's a great story. I'm not going to take the time to tell it. We did that at the last council meeting. But President Lincoln, would you mind coming up and sharing with these wonderful citizens of the month and others a little bit about this inaugural address? Thank you.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure. I'm a little old, but I can still read, but I can't remember what I had said 150 years ago. Everybody else in the country can if they will go to my memorial. But I really want to put a little bit of historical perspective on this day 150 years ago. It precedes my death by 40 days. It precedes the surrender of Robert E. Lee by 30 days. It precedes the end of the Civil War conflict by 120 days. The conclusion of the Civil War was not really apparent at that point. It was hoped for, but not certain. But I gave what I felt was a very conciliatory address. And I think that's why it's gone down in history as one of the best talks, speeches. It was just 6 minutes long. It was actually longer than the Gettysburg Address, but it was still very short. There is one part that I would like to recite to you or read to you because of its importance. Speaking of both sides of the Civil War, both read the same Bible and prayed to the same God, and each invokes his against the other. It may seem strange that any man should dare to ask a just God's assistance in wringing their bread from the sweat of another man's face. But let us judge not, that we be not judged. The prayers of both could not be answered. That of neither has been fully answered. The Almighty has his own purposes. Quote, "Woe unto the world because of offenses, for it must needs be that offenses come, but woe to that man by whom the offense cometh." Close quote. If we shall suppose that American slavery is one of those offenses, which, in the providence of God, must needs come, but which, having continued through his appointed time, he now wills to remove, and that he gives to both North and South this terrible war, as the woe due to those by whom the offense came. Shall we discern therein any departure from those divine attributes which the believers in a living God always ascribe to him? Fondly we do hope, fervently we do pray, that this mighty scourge of war may speedily pass away. Yet, if God wills that it continue, until all the wealth piled on the bondsman's 250 years of unrequited toil shall be sunk, and until every drop of blood drawn by the lash shall be paid for by another drawn with the sword. As we have said 300 years ago, so still it must be said, quote, "The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether," close quote. With malice toward none, with charity towards all, with firmness in the right as God gives us to see the right, let us strive to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds, to care for him who has borne the battle, and for his widow and his orphan, to do all that may achieve and cherish a just and lasting peace among ourselves and with all nations. Thank you.
Gardenia. President Lincoln, would it be okay if I had a picture with you? That would be an honor. Thank you. And as was mentioned, as you leave tonight, President Lincoln will have a full copy of that wonderful sacred speech. And thank you again for coming. We now move to our Student Citizens of the Month. And Kurt, if we, the next slide shows 3 groups. And we do it, the first 2 groups are those in elementary schools. And that would, oh, I forgot, excuse me. Tonight's Student Citizen of the Month is brought to you by 2 special places just across the street to the west. Taste Buds, the frozen yogurt, flavorful frozen yogurt, excuse me. And then Mike's Burgers, Cheese Steaks, Ice Cream. When the Student Citizen of the Month is up here, they will receive a Shop Gilbert bag. And inside the bag will be some coupons to go to those places. You don't have to go there tonight, but if you did, that would be great because they're nearby and they could be used another time, or any other place in Gilbert that has great food. You can go there tonight and celebrate, or another night too. But all right, next slide, Kurt, is the 3 groups. If you are in group 1, in just a moment, if your elementary school starts with the first letter of A to J, I'll have you come on down and stand right behind me, and then one at a time you'll come up and you'll see the pattern very quickly. We'll be taking a picture of you individually and as a group, and there are cards on the back table that tell you about Gilbert Digital. And right here we have some we can hand out too that will tell you where to go to see the pictures and find other great information about what's happening in Gilbert. Facebook tonight. What time? No later than 9 o'clock. Let's hear it for Gardenia, right here. So the first group, if your elementary school starts with the first letter A to J, come on down and you can stand right behind me. As this group is coming down, I also wanted to recognize another special group. If you are a teacher, school administrator, have anything to do with the school districts, maybe you're a substitute teacher, would you please stand and be recognized? You fall into another category of our Gilbert MVP, so thank you. Councilmember Daniels will be the one who will say the names, and then I'll be here doing my best to pose for the pictures one at a time. Councilmember Daniels.
Thank you, Mayor. From Ashland Ranch Elementary, Sydney Blackhurst.
And if parents or teachers wanted to take a picture too, you can come on down in this area.
From Burke Elementary, Joseph S. McLemore. From Carroll Ray Ranch Elementary, Elena Root. From Christ Greenfield Lutheran School, Caitlin Parks. Here she comes. Caitlin, what grade are you in? Eighth grade. So sometimes some of our schools go K through 8, right? And so we just have you listed here. We recognize that you're really not in elementary school, but come on up.
She'll be our veteran.
That's right. From Finley Farms Elementary, Patricia Johnson. From Gateway Point Elementary, Elise Ramirez. From Gilbert Elementary, Celeste Farella. From Greenfield Elementary, Layla Lomu. From Highland Park Elementary, Kylie Frankum. From Higley Traditional Academy, Adelie Fong. From Houston Elementary, Brody Castillo. From the Islands Elementary, Cora Dye. And from Oak Tree Elementary, Isaac Leal.
We're now going to do a group picture. And so if you can come stand right in this area, and then we'll have all the council members join us. Right over a little bit this direction too. Come on up here. Come right up here in the front. Okay. And let's make sure and get those stockings in the picture if we can. Let's give Group 1 another big round of applause. Thank you. You may be seated. Group 2, if you are in elementary school and have not yet received your award, come on down. That would be if your first letter of your elementary school is from K to Z. And sometimes there are questions. We invite you to stay the whole program, which is probably another 15 minutes or so. But if you do need to leave, Those who have been recognized may leave, and then you can get a chance to meet Abraham Lincoln and see that WNBA trophy. Group 2, Councilmember Daniels.
From Mesquite Elementary, Noah McCoy.
Was I not smiling big enough? Did I do better? Okay, thank you. Here's your bag.
From Neely Traditional Academy, Katarina E. Youngfleisch. From Patterson Elementary, Cole Reese. From Pioneer Elementary, Bridget Sepulveda. From Playa del Rey Elementary, Nishat Ahmed. From Power Ranch Elementary, Jenna Custer. From Courts Hill Elementary, Tegan Funkhauser.
Of course. Here we go. You ready? Yeah. Do I get a pitch with you? Here you go.
From Santan Elementary School, Addison Westlowski. From Settlers Point Elementary, Sean Embry. From Sonoma Ranch Elementary, Siddharth Nair. From Spectrum Elementary, Mackenzie Shepard. From Town Meadows Elementary, Lincoln Ickler. From Val Vista Lakes Elementary, Jordan Davis.
Group 2, let's have our picture together. Come on up here. Let's slide a little bit this direction, a little bit this direction. Gardenia's having, okay, a little bit to the left right there. Okay. Another big round of applause for Group 2. Thank you. Group 3, if you are in junior high or high school, please come on down.
They all look thrilled to be here. There.
Councilmember Daniels, please continue.
From Campo Verde High School, Bailey Eatinger. From Cooley Middle School, Jenna Wellick. From Gilbert Classical Academy, Megan Bowers. From Gilbert High School, Joanna Gurr. From Gilbert Junior High, Austin Wilson. From Gilbert Early College, Kimberly L. Rose. From Greenfield Junior High, Emma Webster. From Highland High School, Paige Lee. From Mesquite High School, Ethan Fulford. Absolutely. From Mesquite Junior High, Megan Kalos. From Payne Junior High, Lily Spencer. From Perry High School, Natalie Nielsen. From Sossaman Middle School, Erin Barnum. May I have some new hairdo suggestions for you after the next couple? And from South Valley Junior High, Bernardo Lopez.
So group 3, we're going to do a picture together right over in this vicinity. Maybe a little bit more to this direction. Another big round of applause, group 3, thank you. Thank you for making the effort to come tonight. Our formal town council meeting will begin in another minute or two. You're invited to stay, but otherwise, carry on with all those great acts of citizenship and have a wonderful rest of the day. And if you do go and eat someplace, wonderful. And if you go home and do the dishes, that's good too. Thank you. And Associate Pastor Jamie Johnson, are you here? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Councilmember Taylor, thank you. We have already called the meeting to order, and the first part tonight was our Student Citizens of the Month. Let's see, Student Citizen of the Month. They did a fabulous job, and we appreciate all who came for that and your patience in now finding a seat. The council meeting will begin, or this formal part of the council meeting will begin with the Scouts being introduced. And I guess first we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance, Councilmember Taylor, and I'll turn it to you to do that, and then we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance. And after the Pledge of Allegiance, the Scouts will be seated, and then we'll have the invocation, which tonight will be offered by Associate Pastor Jamie Johnson of Life Community Church. And Associate Pastor Johnson, thank you for coming. Councilmember Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor. We have Ben Abercrombie from Troop 928 to lead us in the pledge.
We invite those in council chambers to arise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor, we're lucky to have a few Scouts here tonight. We're going to ask them to give us their name and their rank, and then we will present them with a copy of the U.S. Constitution and Declaration of Independence, which we highly value in our town of Gilbert.
Ben Abercrombie, Star Scout.
Zach Durbin, Life Scout.
Ethan Durbin, Tenderfoot Scout.
Brigham Backrack, First Class Scout.
Hudson Rudolph, Tenderfoot Scout.
Kobe Roseberry, Star Scout.
Carson Tanner, First Class Scout. Austin Ratliff, First Class Scout. Braden Horn, First Class Scout.
Brock Roseberry, Tenderfoot.
Cameron Reed, First Class.
We're Troop 800.
One more here.
I'm Brent.
Mayor, we express appreciation for all the service that the Scouts do here in the town of Gilbert. Do you have any parting words for them?
It's what you just said. The service is appreciated, and I think as the community knows, part of the citizenship and the community merit badge is to come to a meeting like this. And so here you are, and thank you, and serve on. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Associate Pastor Johnson, please. While you're coming, I'll just note, as it says on the agenda, that the invocation may be offered by a person of any religion, faith, belief, or non-belief, as well as council members. A list of volunteers is maintained by the town clerk. An interested person should contact the clerk for further information. Thank you, please.
Thank you. Let's pray. Lord, we thank you so much for tonight. God, we thank you for this great community that we get to be a part of and serve and lead. God, I thank you for our council members, that tonight on the agendas you would give everyone direction, wisdom, confidence as we proceed forward with decisions that need to be made. God, we thank you for your constant favor and your hand on our city. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Our deputy clerk will now conduct the roll call.
Mayor John Lewis.
Here.
Vice Mayor Jordan Ray.
Here.
Councilmember Eddie Cook.
Here.
Councilmember Jen Daniels. Councilmember Victor Peterson.
Here.
Councilmember Bridget Peterson.
Here.
Councilmember Jared Taylor.
Here.
A quorum is present.
Thank you. Before we get to our presentations and proclamations, a couple of announcements that often I say at the end of the meeting, but I'll do it at the beginning tonight. Saturday is the Kapow Superhero Race. We have 1,000 Gilbert residents signed up, and it will be one fun event. At the Student Citizen of the Month, I guess we won't parade our stockings that we are wearing, but we have wonderful stockings that if you see council members in a few minutes get up, that they're dressed ready for the Kapow Superhero. The other announcement, downtown concerts continue. The next one is April 2nd at the Water Tower Plaza, 6:30 p.m. And then the second Saturday in April is the annual Gilbert Global Village Festival, one of the great family activities, and we invite you to bring friends and neighbors. It's from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. here at Town Hall. Gilbertsville Rocks is also on Saturday, April, is it 11th? Yes, and that will be at Burgie's in downtown Gilbert, and that, as we announced to the Student Citizen of the Month, is in recognition of our wonderful town manager and his great efforts, and that he lost the bet to the mayor. Something about that. Continue. Well, that's coming up, isn't it? A very special recognition. Let's go to, now on our list, the first proclamation. Councilmember Peterson, please.
Mayor, thank you for the opportunity to offer this proclamation. Before we start talking about the National Day of Service, though, just want to point out that we have our very own Gilbert's Day of Service called We Are Gilbert Day coming up April 11th. Actually, one of our projects is to assist with the Global Village Festival taking place that same day. I'm not going to go into a lot more detail because I'm blessed enough tonight to have a friend here who's going to talk more about that in a few minutes during the public comment. So with that, without further ado, whereas service to others is a hallmark of the American character and central to how we meet our challenges, and whereas the nation's mayors are increasingly turning to national service and volunteerism as a cost-effective strategy to meet city needs, and whereas AmeriCorps and Senior Corps address the most pressing challenges facing our cities and nation, from educating students for the jobs of the 21st century and supporting veterans and military families to preserving the environment and helping communities recover from natural disasters. And whereas the Corporation for National and Community Service shares a priority with mayors nationwide to engage citizens, improve lives, and strengthen communities, and is joining with mayors across the country to support the Mayor's Day of Recognition for National Service on April 7th, 2015. Therefore, be it resolved that Mayor John W. Lewis of the town of Gilbert does hereby proclaim April 7th, 2015 as National Service Recognition Day and encourages residents to recognize the positive impact of national service in our city and to thank those who serve and to find ways to give back to their communities. Thank you, Mayor.
We'll have Sal Cufaro and his wife Grace come up. If you'd like to have your children come up also and join me up here. We'd like to give Sal a big congratulations from the town of Gilbert. He had Guy Fieri come and visit from Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. It was a very exciting episode. I was so glad to be able to see Gilbert Road on the video and the Gilbert Water Tower, and then to have Guy stand in front of your shop and say, "Here I am in Gilbert, Arizona at Sal's Gilbert Pizza," was just such a great experience for me as a new council member here in town. And so I wanted to just let you introduce your family and your wife and say a couple words for us.
I want to thank you, everybody, for this honor. It's very special for me. And I want to thank town of Gilbert, my customer. That's the reason I'm here. And I want to thank my wife and my wonderful kids.
What are your kids' names?
The older one, Francesco, Antonino, and Anna Paula.
So if you haven't heard or been to Sal's, they're right across the street in Gilbert Town Square. And two of the pizzas that were featured on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives are Baked Ziti Pizza and Chicken Marsala Pizza. So if you're sitting at home and you can't decide whether or not to have pasta or pizza for dinner, go to Sal's and pick up a Baked Ziti Pizza because you get both at the same time. He has ginormous pizzas. That's the best way for me to describe them, and they're delicious. And for an Italian girl from Boston, it's been hard for me to find a pizza that I really like out here. So let me just read their certificate of appreciation on behalf of the Gilbert Town Council, we extend a very special congratulations for being featured on the Food Network's television series, Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. Sal's Gilbert Pizza is an exceptional community partner. Thank you for your participation and contributions at several town events. Family-owned and operated restaurants such as yours help make the town of Gilbert a great place to live and work. You bring great value to Gilbert.
Councilmember Peterson, just so, as I was saying, the Kapow superhero stockings, this is an example of some of the things you'll see. Look at that. It's gorgeous. All right. Thank you. Vice Mayor Ray.
I want to invite up the Gilbert Christian High School basketball team. Come on up, guys, along with their coaches. All the way up. So the Gilbert Christian High School boys basketball team recently won the Division II state championship. Let's give them a round of applause. I'm going to pass the microphone over to the head coach, Kurt Keener, and he'll introduce each of the players, or if he's brave enough, maybe pass the mic down and let them say their name. And we have a proclamation for each one of them.
Good evening. I'm Kurt Keener. I'm the varsity head basketball coach, and I'm going to let these young men, they're all well-spoken. They can introduce themselves.
I'm assistant coach Spencer Brannon.
I'm Colton Kelly, and I'm a senior.
Andrew Franzen, senior.
Tony Licavoli, junior.
Jimmy White, senior.
Eli Fournier, junior. Mitch Lightfoot, junior. Caleb Young, sophomore. Jackson Redmond, freshman.
Darwishi Hunter, freshman.
Braden Ferguson, sophomore.
Bakara Evelyn, senior.
My name is Nate Graville, and I'm a sophomore.
Cameron Satterwhite, junior.
This team went through a lot this year, had a couple different trials they had to overcome, and to win the state championship. Let's give them one more round of applause. And your coach has a proclamation from the mayor for each one of you. Again, congratulations, guys.
Jordan's one of the shortest ones.
I'd like to invite Cody Vasquez to come on up. This very sharp-looking young man is a Gilbert native. He's 12 years old, and in case you didn't know, he is also famous. Right, Cody? This is a great story. In 2014, Cody entered his shrimp tacos and watermelon jicama salad recipe to the Let's Move campaign. Where did you buy your watermelon, Cody?
At the Gilbert Farmers Market.
Nice plug. Good job. He went on to win that competition for the state of Arizona, was invited to Washington, D.C., got to meet the head chef at the White House, probably a highlight, right? And had a lot of other experiences, got to meet, obviously, the president and the first lady as well. Beyond his cooking skills, which clearly are tremendous, Cody is also student body president at Quartz Hill Elementary, and he gives back to our community in many ways. So Cody, I'm going to pass the mic to you. I want you to tell us a little bit about what you did on behalf of the community, and then I have a great certificate here for you as well.
So one of the things is I got my watermelon from the Gilbert Farmers Market, and after that we kept going to the Gilbert Farmers Market and getting a lot of stuff since I was inspired from there. And so I decided, after I came home from the Food Network, I decided to go into the Gilbert Farmers Market and do my own little stand. So I did a bake sale, and then I donated all the money I got from it to No Kid Hungry. It's an organization that gives back to kids that are hungry and so that they can have meals.
Cody, yes, absolutely. Cody is an inspiration to this community, obviously. He didn't tell you, because he's a humble kid as well, that he raised over $3,000 for No Kid Hungry. No small task, something to be proud of for sure. And I didn't mention, although he did, his opportunity to be on the Kids Baking Championship on the Food Network show, which is how he became famous. I actually saw that episode and was cheering when I saw the kid from Gilbert, Arizona. So way to represent us. His family has lots of cooking roots. I understand his mother's side, or is it his father's side, owns, dad's side owns and operates the Sombreros restaurants and also Isabel's and More. And your mom's side of the family, including your Pop, makes a lot of good food for you. So on behalf of the mayor, we have this certificate for you to expend a very special thank you for your gracious time and effort exhibited by hosting a charity bake sale at the Gilbert Farmers Market to benefit the No Kid Hungry campaign. You've also been a great ambassador of the town of Gilbert by performing your talents on national television and at the White House. You are a valuable member of our community. So thank you, Cody. Mayor's pointing out my socks again, in case nobody saw what was going on. It is my pleasure now to invite John Steinmiller down. John is the communications manager for the Phoenix Mercury, and he has a very special message for us about the world champion WNBA team. And so, John, I'll pass this mic to you, and he brought something with him.
Thank you very much for having us out tonight. This is our championship trophy from this year. We're very proud of it. We're touring it to the communities in the Valley area. As the high school students at Gilbert Christian can attest to, a championship really brings the community together. Although our trophy says Phoenix Mercury, there are a number of communities, including Gilbert, that our fans come from, and we just wanted to come by and say we appreciate your support, and we look forward to your support as we continue and begin our 2015 season on June 5th downtown at the U.S. Airways Center. So thank you for your support, and thank you for having us out today.
It's an honor to have you and the trophy in town today. John, please send our best regards to the team. I was sort of hoping to stand next to one of their taller players today, but John, you're a good substitute. So we appreciate you being here. And Mayor, with that, would you like a photo?
And John, one of the star players in basketball representing the council is right here, Councilmember Daniels. And she, a great basketball player, I think point guard, and sharp elbow. No. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to invite to the front to join me here Michaela Figueroa. Thank you. We're lucky to have you here tonight. We have a certificate of congratulations to you for, let me just read just the first sentence here. Recognition and accomplishment of being named the 2015 Boys and Girls Club of the East Valley Gilbert Branch Youth of the Year. Could you tell us a little bit about your volunteer work and what it means to you at the Boys and Girls Club?
So at the Boys and Girls Club, I volunteer a lot, mostly every day, and I sign in kids at the front because I help in the front desk, and I also go into the centers and help out the different areas. And I also, more than just helping the kids with maybe tutoring with their math homework or listening to them read, I also like to just talk to them and ask them, you know, like, how's your day going? And just give them like another friend to talk to and someone older that they could look up to. And I just like really love the environment of the Boys and Girls Club, and I am happy to be Youth of the Year.
Thank you. On behalf of Mayor and Council, we congratulate you and thank you for your service in our community and want to give you the certificate of congratulations. Could you join me in giving her another hand, please? I would love, and it's my honor, to invite Lieutenant Ruitt and your wife to come to the front. And if any of your team members that I see here could also come behind me, we have a very special moment here to congratulate you for something that I'm not sure when that will happen for me. But anyways, can we have the rest of your team members here? Come on over. Well, Joe, this is a certificate of appreciation. I'm going to read a little bit about it. But before I do that, let me share some wonderful things that I wanted to share with the community with Joe. There is a quarterly event in South Gilbert called the Power Ranch Powwow. And that event allows a number of HOA leaders come together to talk about the different issues that are happening in the south part of Gilbert. And Joe has been there, I think, every single time talking about, you know, maybe a little bit of the crime that's happening there, but also the amount of effort his team is in protecting the community in the south part of Gilbert. And every one of those leaders in those HOAs tremendously appreciate his report and his team's report regularly on preventing crime in the southern part of Gilbert. And Joe has provided that service with his team for many, many years. And I know when I was at the last meeting that you were not there, they were very sad because they did want to give you a big thank you for the many, many years of, you know, helping protect their families and the businesses down there. So I just wanted to share that with you. With that, let me, oh, you know what? I'm going to have the chief say some words before I read the appreciation.
Thank you, Councilmember Cook. It really is an honor to be up here and to recognize Joe tonight. He'll be leaving us after 27 years, I believe, Joe, of service. That's a long time in police work. And, you know, there's a few things I'll tell you that come to my mind when I think of Joe Ruitt. And the first thing, Joe's a man of faith. Joe's a man who loves his family dearly and who loves and cares about this community and this police department dearly with his heart. I will also tell you, Joe's never lost his edge as a street cop. It's quite often when Joe's working out there as a lieutenant that you'll hear calls for service come out, and a name will be attached to the call for service that they're looking for somebody. Joe pipes right up on the radio and says, well, here's the car he drives, here's where you're going to find him, here's where he hangs out, here's who his friends are, and he's got that stored up here somewhere. But Joe's a dear friend. We're going to miss him tremendously, he and his family, but they're still going to be around here, and they'll be part of the Gilbert family, and I know we'll see him around, and I appreciate the opportunity to honor him here tonight before all of you, before Mayor and Council. Thank you.
And to your wife, thank you for allowing your husband to serve our community. I know there may be some scary moments through all the years, but he's done a wonderful service for our community, and thank you for allowing us to borrow his time and his leadership. Thank you.
We've enjoyed raising our family here, and all my girls went to Gilbert High Schools, and we're deeply invested. And next time you see me, I hope to have a beard kind of like Mark Scasipic's.
Well, you're leading the way, Mark. I guess we're all going to grow one. Well, with that, Joe, let me read this on behalf of the mayor and the council. As the mayor of the town of Gilbert, it is my distinct pleasure to express sincere appreciation to Police Lieutenant Joseph Ruett upon his retirement from Gilbert Police Department since 1987, serving tirelessly and admirably. Lieutenant Ruett has been an invaluable member of the department. It is with gratitude and appreciation that we recognize and commend him for his outstanding, long-standing service. As Lieutenant Ruett brings to close his distinguished 27 years of service with the Gilbert Police Department, we commend and thank him for his outstanding commitment to serving our community by promoting public safety and defending our citizens. His diligence to duty and strength of character have helped to steer Gilbert through his high growth period. Moreover, his wisdom and friendship have contributed to the betterment of the community and strengthened the town of Gilbert Police Department. His service and dedication will be missed. On behalf of the town council and its citizens of our community, we extend a heartfelt appreciation to Lieutenant Joseph Ruett for his service to the people of Gilbert and wish him the very best in all of his future endeavors. Thank you.
Just wanted to say I couldn't do this job without backup like you just saw behind me here.
We conclude this part of our meeting with Chief Tim Doran telling us about another member of our team that we have some emotions with that. And so, Chief, please.
Thank you, Mayor. If our K-9 team can come up and join me up here, please. I was notified last week, the end of the beginning of this week, we lost a member of our family with the Gilbert Police Department. Chucky served as a member of our K-9 team with his handler, Greg Thomas, from 2008 to 2014 when he retired. That may seem like a short period of time. That's a long time in service as a police service dog. These animals, they're like a member of our department. They're just like an officer, just like another employee. They live a tough life. They go through extensive training. They're constantly exposed to dangerous situations and very difficult situations out in the heat, climbing up in attics looking for people, trailing people. looking for drugs, narcotics, those types of things. And they really do become a member of our family. But more important, the bond between a handler and the canine is something that people just can't understand and can't describe. They spend more time, a lot of times, with these police service dogs than they do with their families at times, and certainly with any other officers in the department. So unfortunately, Chucky came down with cancer in a very short period of time, lost his life over the weekend. But Greg just shared a story with me here just a few minutes ago that I hadn't heard yet, that kind of a signal of things that one of the last things he got to do with Chucky was give him his last ride in a police car, bring him down here to the police station, and get a photograph taken in front of our memorial that he had never had an opportunity to do. When that happened, he had no idea that Chucky would not be around much longer, and it was one of the last things he got to do with him. So it's these folks, Greg Thomas, who is still a handler, and he's our lead trainer, Justin Betts, who's another one of our handlers, and their sergeant, Bill Campbell. One of our other handlers is Steve Gilbert, wasn't here tonight. One thing that I would like to share with you is probably one of the most significant events that Chucky was involved in. Happened on January 28th, 2010, when Lieutenant Eric Shoehandler was shot and killed in the line of duty at Val Vista and Baseline. Shortly after that, Officer Betts, who was not a canine handler at the time, came across the suspects who had fled the scene, pulled in behind the suspect vehicle. The suspects then engaged in gunfire, striking Officer Betts' patrol car, leading our police officers from Gilbert, Mesa PD, DPS, and several other agencies on a pursuit that went clear up into Superior, Arizona. During the pursuit, the suspects were engaged in gunfire and also were throwing things out of the back of the vehicle that actually disabled numerous police cars through the chase. The chase came to an end in Superior when the vehicle was disabled. Suspects exited the vehicle, then engaged in gunfire with the officers up in Superior. One of the suspects was wounded, at which time Officer Thomas was able to release Chucky in extreme danger. He actually went behind the car where the suspects were engaging our officers, engaged the suspect, and literally pulled him out from behind the vehicle, kept him distracted, as you might imagine, to allow the officers to come up and take that person into custody without anybody else losing their life. And that's something that we'll never forget in our organization. So I would like to finish with just asking you to join me in a moment of silence as we remember Chucky, but at the same time, I'd also ask you to honor and remember Officer Alex Yazzie of the Navajo Nation Tribal Police Department, who was shot and killed over the last week in northern Arizona and will be laid to rest on the Navajo Nation tomorrow. So if you'll join me in a moment of silence, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Next on the agenda, communications from citizens. As noted on the agenda, members of the public may comment on matters within the jurisdiction of the town, but not on the agenda. The council's response is limited to responding to criticism, asking staff to review a matter, comment upon, or asking that a matter be put on a future agenda. Vice Mayor Ray, I understand we have 2 requests.
Mayor, we do, from Randy Miller and Joe Gusick. We'll have Randy come forward first. You want to do 3 minutes, Mayor? And then Joe will follow after Randy. And Randy, if you'll just state your name and whether you're a Gilbert resident or not, please.
Is this on? Hello? There we go. Hi, my name's Randy Miller. I am a Gilbert resident. I've been a resident of Gilbert for about 15 years now. This is my first council meeting, so I really have no idea how things are supposed to work. But the reason I'm here tonight is to talk about, on February 26th, SRP passed a very egregious price proposal for solar customers. I know that you guys don't have any jurisdiction over that, but what I do want to make you aware of is that many of the citizens here in Gilbert don't have any rights in voting on the SRP elections for the board. Anyone east of the canal does not have any ability to vote in that process. What a group of myself and a group of citizens are trying to do is to figure out what process we need to go through in order to change that so that we have a right to vote in the process and be able to have some impact on the SRP board. I know it's probably a state thing because SRP is some sort of quasi-governmental thing, but we're just trying to make as many people aware of the issue. Anybody east of the Eastern Canal or the Consolidated Canal does not have rights. So all of Queen Creek, all of Ahwatukee, all of Fountain Hills, there's just large swaths of the valley that are not allowed to participate in the process, and I feel that's just, basically taxation without representation. So any questions or comments from you guys, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Randy. And as I read, at this point of the agenda, we really can't make any comments other than I will say thank you for giving in the council some feedback, and your feedback has been shared with SRP and with town staff. That was very helpful information, and we'll try and do what we can to help. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Joe Gusick, Gilbert resident. Mayor Lewis, fellow town council members, Gilbert staff, and fellow Gilbertonians, and any guests. As I always like to help out, I truly like to help out Councilwoman Peterson. In fact, I'll tell you just a little story. Councilwoman Peterson has repeatedly been out there promoting April 11th to help out our schools and our different local nonprofits. It was several efforts of his through Facebook and other things like that that finally reminded me to sign up. So I'd like to just share with people on that day, if you would go to gilbertcan.org, and on that site, right on the very first page, you can click on a button. And on there are all these different projects. For example, Ashland Ranch still needs 9 more people. Boys and Girls Club still needs 2 more volunteers. Coronado Elementary already has their 50. Gilbert Classical Academy still needs 17. Gilbert Elementary still needs 15. Gilbert Public Schools, the district office, needs 21. Harris Elementary School needs 14. Highland High School, where I'll be at, needs 4 more people. Hospice of the Valley needs 0. House of the Refuge needs 0. Islands Elementary still needs 3. Oak Tree already has all 50 people. Serving Our Seniors already has its all 20 people. United Food Bank already has all of its people. And Newborns in Need, they still need, out of 300, just 18 more people. Wow, that's impressive. And the last one, the Global Village, Mayor Lewis, we need 5 more people. So I will try to go as quickly as possible. It is not my birthday, but it is somebody's birthday today. It is Sandra Day O'Connor's birthday. Today, March 26th, in 1930, she was born, and she's 85 today. Just in this last week, her O'Connor House has now been renamed the Sandra Day O'Connor Institute. As you know, I'm very actively engaged in civic engagement. I always have those 2 special words for it called education first. I would greatly appreciate it. I have talked to them. I've called up, and I will try to call Sandra Day O'Connor to encourage you to do the same. Please. They've reached out to the city of councils. They've reached out to the schools, and not very many people have taken up the challenge. Please take the time to learn about the Great Voter Challenge and put it on our websites. It is the one thing that we should always be encouraging every single American. Yes, it is a right, but it is also a privilege. So on this day, I would hope you would give her a birthday wish and help her out. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Ray, any other requests?
That's it, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We will move to the consent calendar. Vice Mayor Ray, what requests do we have from the council?
We are ready to move forward with the motion, if you're ready, Mayor.
Please.
I move that we approve items 9A, 9B, item 10, 11, 12, item 14, item 16, item 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21, and also item 28 with some help from Councilmember Peterson.
Mayor, the amendment to that motion, or the addition to it, is to appoint 3 regular members, and those are Lauren Kondreva, Gary Livacari, Christopher Smith, as 3 regular members to the Industrial Development Authority with terms beginning March 27th, 2015 and ending March 12th, 2021.
With that motion, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. With that motion,
Excuse me. Did you get addendum 9A and 9B as well? Okay.
Okay. Thank you. With that motion and second, please vote. Thank you. That's approved with a 7-0 vote. Before we go to agenda item 15, State Senator Begay, if you could please come forward. Council, I think you understand what great leadership Senator Begay has displayed with agenda items 9A and B, and wonder if you could just take a moment and share some of your thoughts.
Well, good evening. Thank you, Mayor Lewis, Vice Mayor Ray, and Tanner Gilbert council members. It truly is a pleasure to be with you this evening, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here. And to the community members, thank you very much for the opportunity. For the record, my name is Carlisle Begay, the State Senator for District 7 in Arizona. And before I make a comment, I do want to recognize again the true leadership that the town of Gilbert has demonstrated in the true partnership between the Gila River Indian community, the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian community, and really the advocacy that you've demonstrated and represented in your true interest in wanting to partner with our tribal neighbors, not only your neighbors nearby, but also on behalf of the tribal communities across the state. And I appreciate your support on the consent item number 9A in support of the grant application with the Gila River Indian community in our efforts to address the educational inequality efforts across the state. And really the effort is about trying to improve our efforts and offering opportunities and improving education for the residents of the state of Arizona that have the most need, again, especially in rural and tribal areas. So just want to thank you for that, and thank you for your leadership on this effort.
Senator Begay, thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Ray, agenda item 15.
Correct. I don't know, Mayor, that we need a presentation on this. I'm not sure if you would prefer one. I know there was at least one council member who wanted to say
Sure.
forward.
On Tuesday night, we had our study session in preparation for tonight's meeting. And agenda item 15, we didn't quite finish, and I know there was some follow-up, and so I might just turn to those who are presenting. Is there any additional information that you felt like needed to be shared before we open it up for questions? And at a minimum, it might be good to do a quick overview about what agenda item 15 is.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We have no additional information other than what's been provided to you all in the packets that we gave you that included the presentation that we gave you during study session. Also, we provided you with a copy of our general orders regarding body-worn cameras, and also our redaction checklist for both public redactions and also in public information releases, and also for those releases that go out to the courts. Appreciated the opportunity to meet with you and to discuss this program. The Gilbert Police Department has been testing body-worn cameras. The camera system that we have been testing is through TASER, and also we have been testing an evidence management system and storage system that's also through the TASER Corporation called Evidence.com for about 4 or 5 months now, with about 32 cameras, wearable cameras. The camera systems will be worn by all of our officers. What we're asking from you tonight is to approve an extension of that contract in order to obtain additional camera systems that will be worn by all of our uniformed officers that perform enforcement-related duties and our criminal apprehension team within the police department. The wearable camera program is designed to capture interactions with the public that are a result of dispatch calls for service and also officer-initiated enforcement-related calls for service. They're not designed to capture casual interactions with the public as we may be asked for directions or just as we're walking down the street or eating in restaurants and those types of things. It's primarily for either anticipated contacts with people, such as if we're going out on a burglar alarm and we don't know if we may encounter a suspect at that time, or on those calls for service where we know we're going to encounter people. We've taken great strides in doing research of looking at some of the national best models through the International Association of Chiefs of Police, and also the Police Executive Research Forum, and also guidance that's been handed down through the ACLU and other civil rights organizations to ensure that our policy is designed to increase transparency, increase accountability, provide additional protections for our police officers, while at the same time recognizing privacy as much as we can within the confines of the public records laws in Arizona and protecting the safety and privacy of our citizens. So that's a brief overview of what we're coming before you tonight. Be happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Thank you. Councilmember Taylor.
Mayor, thank you, and thank you, Chief. Enjoyed learning more about this when we visited on this topic. And Mayor, I'm supportive of this, partly because the role that the police department plays in protecting the rights of our citizens are important, and I see this as a good tool in increasing our effectiveness in protecting the rights of the citizens. And but as we go into this, I also want to make sure that we're really clear, with the public on what the goals are, what the objectives are, because and maybe I'll have Chief comment a little bit on this, because certainly the goals, as I understand it in the packet, isn't to, as Chief said, is there's no gotcha intent here. It's really effectiveness in doing what government should do in protecting rights.
Yes.
And so I think it'd just be clear on the goals. And then as you've heard in the past, as we make a commitment into something like this, we have stated goals, and perhaps we could ask Town Manager Banger in 12, 18 months, whatever is appropriate, to come back and just give a quick update of how do we do on those goals? This investment in this technology, are we getting what we thought we got out of it? Is there any fine-tuning or refinement or additional investment, perhaps, to hit those markers? Chief, would you care to comment a little bit about what kind of goals we see that we're going to bring and benefits into the town?
Certainly. First of all, what we're trying to accomplish through the program is there's been extensive research done by multiple agencies, and we've taken a look at locally. The Mesa Police Department has had an active research project going with Arizona State University. The Lake Havasu City Police Department has been involved in body-worn camera testing for several years now. They've also had some assistance, I believe, through Arizona State University. Surprise Police Department did some research, and most recently we just saw San Diego Police Department did another research study. Rialto, California did a research study that was done through Cambridge University, and San Diego Police Department just recently completed research. Phoenix Police Department has completed research. All of the research projects that have been completed have said that beyond a doubt that the presence of cameras influences the behavior of not only the police but also of the public. When people know that there's cameras around, and we live in a world now where everybody has a camera on their cell phone, people are videotaping people all the time. They're videotaping police encounters. Unfortunately, sometimes what happens is they catch a small piece of it and don't catch the entire situation as it unfolds. So our goal is to record those contacts so that we record the entire incident, and we utilize those recordings, first of all, to improve the quality of our investigations, because the officers, as they prepare their investigative reports, have the ability to go back and play the footage back and actually see that interaction and see things. One officer told me a story about a narcotics arrest that he made where he didn't see the person hide the narcotics, but when he went back and looked at the tape as he was repairing his report, actually saw the person hiding the narcotics during the interaction that he had with the person, located the narcotics, and was able to add that as a charge. Extremely beneficial, and what Phoenix Police Study looked at was domestic violence investigations, of capturing that actual statement and appearance from the victim. And oftentimes what we see in domestic violence situations is that when it comes to court, there may be a recanting of the original story by the victim. Now we have that captured and have that victim telling their story about what actually happened to them tonight, and what Phoenix saw was a significant increase in their domestic violence prosecutions. So we want to increase transparency. We want to have the ability to increase accountability on the police, increase accountability on the public. When a complaint is made, that we have the opportunity to go in and review the incident and see what actually happened. As we stated the other night, the camera only captures what the camera sees and what the microphone hears. So there are other things that we need to take into consideration on environmental factors, what was in the officer's mind at the time that things occur. We also utilize the camera footage in all of our use of force reviews. Our police officers are required to report all uses of force, no matter what the level is, all the way up from just displaying a taser, displaying a firearm, all the way up to the use of deadly force. All of those situations go through a review process. Now, as part of that review process, we include a review of the camera footage to see the entire incident, to see how it transfolded as things took place, and to see all of the actions that were involved at the time to ensure that the officer's use of force was appropriate. Are there any training issues that we need to do, and what were the person's actions at the time? So, the other tool that we have is as an investigative tool, that if we encounter another unfortunate situation where an officer is disabled or deceased as a result of a use of force conflict, we have evidence that's immediately available to us as to that encounter that may assist us in locating the suspect at the time. We saw that unfortunately in a Flagstaff incident where the actual encounter, when the Flagstaff police officer was killed, the entire situation was encountered on tape. As far as accountability, what we're going to be doing is taking a look at our complaints. The research has also said that because there's a change of behavior, that they see a reduction in uses of force, and they see a reduction in citizens' complaints, and they see there's a category called not sustained on a complaint investigation, which means we've got the officer's word, we've got the public's word. We have no proof of what happened either way, so we can't prove whether it happened or not. We hope to see the number of not sustained decreased, because we should be able, through the use of this technology, be able to determine exactly what happened. So those are the primary goals that we hope to address. We're going to include those in our quarterly reports, tracking some of that information, and we'll be watching that, and we'll be happy to report that back to council.
Thank you, Chief. Anything else from the council? Councilmember Peterson.
Mayor, first of all, I just want to thank the Gilbert PD staff. I've taken a lot of your time in the last week, and I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
It's a big investment. It has a lot of ramifications as well, and what it means and what it does. And so I've been trying to take that seriously, and you guys have been great. You've cooperated and given me so much information. I appreciate it. I just also want to comment on the issue of privacy. I'm grateful to read your policy on redactions and deletions. And as I understand it, that goes above and beyond what the requirements of the law are to protect people who we don't intend to record, and there's really no reason to, and to protect their privacy. And that's a big issue for me, and I am comforted by that policy, to know that people are held accountable to that. Those are the rules, and I'm glad that we go above and beyond, even in that, and that means a lot to me, so thank you. I'll also just comment on the cost. It's something of a concern, but as I've talked with the IT staff and looked around a little bit and done a little bit of gut checking on that, with all that's included, it's probably a pretty good value. I wish we had a little more data on that. but I think we're headed in the right direction. Finally, I just want to reiterate what Councilmember Taylor said. I do think it would be good to have a follow-up just to get a sense of the results. I appreciate and I believe that we will have a reduction in the frequency of uses of force, and I also believe we'll have a reduction in the complaints filed. And I think that's wonderful. That's good for all parties involved. But I also think it's important to kind of just see how that's going and get a report and make sure that things are going the way we expected. So with everything, we should always have accountability, which requires some follow-up. And so that's my only suggestion. So with the motion, I can make the motion if no one else has any comments. And I'm sorry I rambled on a little bit there, but that's all I wanted to say on that, Mayor.
I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve item 15 with the additional direction to staff to come back in a year to 18 months and just give us a status update on this investment.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
With that motion second, please vote. That's approved with a 7-0 vote. Thank you. And I think, Chief, as you also said, in the quarterly reports, we can be paying attention to those and probably get feedback 3 months from now.
Yes, Mayor, that's correct. And if there's additional information you'd like to see included in those quarterly reports, we can certainly address it.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Ray, on the public hearing, which we now move to, have we had any requests to speak on agenda item 25?
We have not.
Okay. Let me go to that first. On Tuesday night in our study session, it was presented that there's additional information that has come to town leadership, and the request was made that they be given some more time to study some of the items that were presented to them. Plus, there are some discussions with the state legislature that could impact agenda item 25. And so on Tuesday night, as a council, we felt that we would continue this item. And so I'm going to now open the public hearing on agenda item 25 and close the public hearing on agenda item 25. And we'll entertain a motion on what we talked about on Tuesday night.
Mayor, I move that we continue item 15 to the last meeting.
Or 25?
Item 25 to the last meeting in May or the first meeting in June, depending on staff's response.
That would either be May 14th or June 4th. Either of those. Well, I think we need a date certain, though, don't we?
June 4th.
Why don't we say June 4th?
Let's just say June 4th then.
Okay. And if for some reason we're ready earlier, that would not be a problem with this motion, would it?
No.
We'd have to post. Yes.
Okay, so, but June 4th? Okay, thank you.
Second.
With that motion and second, please vote. That's approved with a 7-0 vote. Thank you. And Vice Mayor Ray, on the other items in the public hearing, do we have any requests to speak?
We do not, Mayor.
Okay. So I will open the public hearing on agenda items 22, 23, 24, 26, and 27, and I will close the public hearing on agenda items I just mentioned, 22, 23, 24, 26, and 27, and we'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move that we approve items 22, 23, 24, 26, and 27.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, with that motion, second, please vote. Thank you. That's approved with a 7-0 vote. I will come back to 28 and 29 after 30. On agenda item 30, there's a policy to consider. And as we talked about in our study session, ask Melanie if she could give us a quick overview, and then we'll see if there's any discussion, please.
Mayor, council members, Melanie Dykstra with the Management Support Analyst with the Parks and Recreation Department. Tonight you have before you the council, asking the council to consider the policies for advertising and sponsorship on Gilbert property, as well as the consideration of a policy for selling naming rights for Gilbert facilities. When we went through this process, we started quite a while ago, and we did involve all of our stakeholders in our department areas to review the policies that we're presenting before you in order to make sure that we've captured all of the department interests that we have, because this is a comprehensive town policy. One of the pieces in the policy is display of printed material. There's been some questions in the past as to what can be placed out in our lobbies, in our locations, our rec centers, our libraries. And so within this policy, the establishes some criteria that each area can have a display for printed material, and that accepted material is town material. Other governmental entities, if they permit similar displays of town material, so that's some of our schools, if they're willing to put out our material, we'll put out theirs. And then organizations or groups with written partnership agreements. That way we can advertise some of those opportunities. The policy also looks at advertising, and so it's allowing advertising on Gilbert property and in some publications. And so what you'll notice is that we've rolled in the existing Gilbert Road banner policy, but we've also included the new garage display boxes that came with the parking garage. So there's a policy that oversees that. As well as the policy would be as it would relate to our media outlets. And right now, as you'll note, that would only be approved by the communications director. It also identifies what is allowed in recreational facilities or Gilbert buildings, which right now is limited to having a sponsorship or being part of the featured business program. The Gilbert vehicles are listed in the policy, and right now that would only be through a sponsorship agreement. And then it indicates some information on our publications, which again, we have rolled in the existing utility bill advertising policy so that it's all in one comprehensive document. Within the advertising, there are some general requirements, and we mimicked the existing categories that was already approved by council. So that language is in here that is listed in the utility bill advertising. The only thing we added to that language was no infringement on trademarks or copyrights. So that was an additional piece of information. It also indicates that the town logo can only be used with an agreement. There is to be no advertising on our staff uniforms. And in general, it does highlight the fact that Gilbert will accept only advertising that's in the best interest of the town. So we do have language in there that does identify where we can make some conscious decisions on what advertising we are taking. For sponsorship, this is to allow sponsorships of Gilbert events and programs. We have similar restrictions placed that mimic the advertising. In addition, the agreements will follow the established Gilbert's financial procedures for approval, so there are dollar limits when we are taking sponsorships as to when they would come to the town manager as well to council. In addition, we have language in there that identifies that sponsorships will be accepted on some criteria that supports a positive public perception of Gilbert. Understanding that when sponsorships do come forward, that not everything is in the best light for Gilbert, and that's not something that we'd be looking to enhance in our areas. And then finally, it has the park and facility naming rights. This would allow the opportunity for selling naming rights for Gilbert parks and facilities. Again, the restrictions that are listed would be the same as in the sponsorship area. The criteria for approval are the same, but overriding it's the Gilbert manager would determine what property is eligible based on council direction. So council really has the final say when it comes to the naming rights, but could authorize the town manager to pursue that on the basis of any of our parks and recreation facilities. And just as a follow-up, that this is what you're seeing is the overarching policy. We also worked as a group and stakeholders in developing procedures, and we do have procedures that highlight within advertising. We have some general procedures. The utility bills are outlined, publications, fees and agreements, sports field signage, and the banner that display boxes, which gives us working procedures as to how to implement all of these policies. The same with the sponsorship, what the department responsibilities are. So again, as many of you are aware, the Parks and Recreation Department has been doing sponsorship for quite some time, but police and fire do some as well. And so this will kind of have a cohesive document for all of us to kind of stay within the same procedures and parameters that we use, so we stay consistent. And then we also have some procedures which are basic for the naming rights. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Melanie, one question that came up was naming one of the ballparks, and there were some reasons for that. And based on this, what is the answer?
So there are actually two different policies. This is actually selling the rights to naming, and then we have a parks renaming memorial policy. So that is a a different set of policies that you approved a while ago. So when we go to establish the actual name of a park, whether it's a new park, we already have policies and procedures outlined as to the public outreach that we would do and the opportunities that the citizens would have to weigh in on that opportunity to name a park and what criteria that's based on. Same with if someone's just asking to rename the park permanently, again, you'd follow some of those procedures. This would be the opportunity to take something that is an existing park, it could be Cosmo, and you could potentially say presented by Petco, PetSmart. You'd be selling some of the naming rights to something that's already identified. You also could take the opportunity like you see at what used to be Bank One Ballpark, which is still my favorite, Bob, but they've outright sold the full name to that stadium, and it does keep changing names. So that is something you could pursue, but we kind of have two separate ways to deal with the names.
Thank you. Other questions from council members? Councilmember Taylor.
Melanie, I noticed that naming rights and sponsorship section include e-cigarettes in some of the restrictions, but not in the advertising section. Was that just an oversight, or was there any additional information of why that would be omitted in the advertising section?
Mayor, Councilmember Taylor, that was an oversight. When we were finishing up the new policy that was related to sponsorship and naming rights, that was some of the discussions that were going on with e-cigarettes, and it triggered a thought to put that in there. We did not go back and relook at the language that was already established in the advertising piece. So it would be at your direction whether or not we would like to make them consistent and add them to both areas. We can certainly add that language in and bring that forward as an amendment.
Thank you, Melanie. That's a correction I'd probably like to see included if that's.
Thank you.
If others agree.
Other questions or comments? Now, the one slide had at the direction of the council, but the manager approved, so the World Series champion San Francisco Giant Ballpark. If I give direction to the manager, I don't know if that's going to fly, but okay. Let's move on. And Councilmember Taylor, why don't you make the motion based on that last comment you made?
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Move to approve policy number 2015-02 as presented in the agenda and the council packet, with the addition of adding e-cigarettes to the advertising section, item number 2, as a restricted category.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
With that motion, second, please vote. Thank you. That's approved with a 7-0 vote. We return to agenda item 29. And council members' feedback on boards, commissions, and committees. Councilmember Taylor.
Mayor, thank you. I wanted to just report from the Parks and Recreation Library Services Committee. On the park side, last night we held a big community forum at the library relative to the field's need analysis. And we've been briefed at multiple times on the Parks Master Plan. And this is a pretty key element, because the question is, well, how many fields is the right number? We don't want to build too many. We don't want to build too little. And anyways, I appreciate the direction that Rod has brought. And there was a really good process. Good turnout last night, good feedback. Lots of input from the community. So for the council, I just wanted to give us a heads up that happened last night, and in April we're going to get some of the data from that and start to understand, how much acreage, how many fields, how does it break out, how does it fit into the parks master plan. So I look forward to that, and just wanted to give the council a heads up on that.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Mayor?
Please. Councilmember Peterson.
Were you going to bring up April 15th to put on our...
Yes, but I can also get some help, so please.
Okay. So we had decided to discuss boards and commissions, and we wanted to find a way to thank our board and commission members this year as National Volunteer Week approaches. And the mayor came up with a great idea to have a little reception at Art Intersection. So we'll be holding that on April 15th, and I'll ask Vicki to make sure to get that on all of our calendars. And we're also going to ask members of, at least one member from each board and commission to come to the council meeting on the 14th so that they can be recognized for National Volunteer Week. I think it's very important to make sure that we recognize our board and commission members. They do a lot of work for the town, for the community, and they give a lot of their time. So thank you. Thank you for your help on that, Mayor.
Thank you. Future meetings, I think we've covered some of the, including what Councilmember Peterson just mentioned, events over the next couple of weeks. And so let's move to report from Town Manager on current events.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. A couple of things for you tonight. First, want to recognize 2 promotions in our police department. Officer Jason Roman has been selected for promotion to the rank of sergeant, effective March 30th, and assigned to patrol. And Sergeant Brian Blunt has been selected for promotion to the rank of lieutenant, effective day of March 30th, and assigned patrol as well. So congratulations to both of those officers for their continued advancement in our department. Last couple of weeks have been somewhat busy for the organization. We did a number of tours of our community for the various bond rating agencies, S&P, Moody, and Fitch for our upcoming St. Xavier bond issuance. As you know, we are a AA plus, or depending on which agency, but one step below AAA, and we are very hopeful sometime in the near future to attain that top rating. We're not sure if it'll be this time, but they were all very impressed with Gilbert, Arizona, and the progress we've made and the developments that they got to see firsthand on those tours. So that kept us busy, and a big thank you to Dawn Buckland and her budget staff, as well as Cindy Mathiasen and her team in finance for coordinating and handling those tours and the information they needed. In economic development, Amanda Elliott and Hillary Hirsch narrated a driving tour of our community for the Gilbert Chamber of Commerce for the red carpet tour. Gilbert business leaders and ambassadors got to have a personalized tour and tour some of our facilities here in town, businesses here in town, Orbital ADK, Celebration Stem Cell Center, Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport, and Banner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Also of note, and we've put some information out, and there will be more to come, on March 13th, the Heritage District experienced a large volume of visitors due to a promotion associated with our food trucks, which have been a long-standing event here in our community, and we love the food trucks, and apparently our community loves the food trucks as well, and we overloaded our district 2 Fridays ago with parking and traffic. So we've taken some steps to remediate that. We've moved the food trucks back to their old location for the time being, and we're actively working with them to find a different location so that we can accommodate more trucks and continue that tradition in our community. We're also going to make some traffic improvements in the district, add some green arrows from turning left from Gilbert Road onto Page Avenue, as well as turning left onto Gilbert Road from Vaughn Avenue, as well as looking for some additional areas that we can pave as the district continues to develop out. We'll continue to monitor the situation and tweak our road network and parking as necessary. Also, local Gilbert business, Orbital ATK, was awarded the NASA order for the Polar Satellite Systems 2 spacecraft. If all options of the contract are exercised, they'll have a total value of over $470 million to Orbital ATK, and that satellite will be built right here at their Gilbert facility, and that could take them, this contract could take them all the way through 2038 with various options that could be exercised. So that was a great day for Orbital in Gilbert. Also, our Gilbert PD provided assistance to Mesa PD during the incident with the active shooter, the multiple shootings they had. Very sad event, but it was a great example of that multi-jurisdictional effort. It went across flawlessly amongst all the agencies. Gilbert PD SWAT team was in operation the majority of the day up in Mesa to help them determine the location of that suspect and help bring him into custody and help deal with issues in their community as a result of that. So that was a great effort by the men and women of our Gilbert Police Department. And then in Parks and Recreation, we've got some improvement projects. The neighborhood playground meetings will be conducted on April 1st and 2nd to receive input on playground designs for Crossroads, Vista Alegre, Oak Tree, Veterans Park, Village 2, and the Freestone Ball Field playgrounds. And the community members will also be able to see the designs and vote online at our website. And then youth sports, final preparations are underway for the start of youth ball program. Games start on March 30th at Freestone, Discovery, and McQueen, and we have almost 900 registered participants. It's late. And adult sports, summer softball, basketball, and volleyball registration begins April 6th. Thank you, Mayor.
Was there a leadership forum today that featured sweater vests? Anything we need to hear about that?
There was a leadership forum today in which we talked about some of the great things going on in the organization and the future. There was a tribute to the underappreciated American fashion piece of clothing, the sweater vest, that I did appreciate the involvement of yourself, Mayor, and Councilwoman Daniels. I thought you looked quite dapper and sophisticated in them, and as is often the case.
We weren't cold at all wearing those sweater vests.
As is often the case, fashion genius is not appreciated truly in its day, but multiple generations down the line will look back and.
Thank you. And to our citizens, that might have been one where you just had to be there to fully appreciate what was just said, but thank you.
I think so.
Comments from the council? Councilmember Cook.
Mayor and Council, I attended a new association of leaders in our community that started about a year ago out of the powwow out of Power Ranch, and that organization is now called the Gilbert Council of Community Associations, and their goal is to basically have a broader reach of many of the HOAs in the town of Gilbert, and in a sense maybe replicate the powwow on a more wider, broader across the town of Gilbert. So they had their inaugural kickoff meeting this last Tuesday, and they shared with me that they will be reaching out to each of us to talk a little bit more about the association.
Thank you. Other comments? The report from the mayor on Tuesday night, I had a chance to go through several items, and I'll just add a couple of additional ones. Last Saturday night, thanks to the council, for many of you involved with the Gilbert Historical Museum, a Night of the Museum fundraiser. And I also had a chance and a report that our St. Xavier University team members appreciated Gilbert's presence in Chicago as I attended the Presidential Scholarship Gala, and a wonderful event. And I did get back to Gilbert before that snow came. Whew. Also, today at the Greater Phoenix Economic Council Board meeting, one of the handouts, an in-depth analysis of the software industry in Greater Phoenix, so there's a copy for each of you. And then midday, I had a chance to attend, along with the governor, the Veterans Employment Summit, and great event. And there were many members from the ESGR, the Employee Support for the Garden Reserve that we've associated with and work with us on the Freedom Award that Gilbert received, that sent their best and expressed appreciation for our support of veterans, and did recognize, and many came up to me and said that they heard that Gilbert had been given the distinction as being the second best place for veterans to call home. To the council and all who have participated tonight, thank you. Meeting adjourned.